Hello there, welcome back to another week of shows. As you can see, I've got the background's up again, the lighting's up. I'm trying to make it a bit more classy again. I figure I get motivated and try and do that stuff rather than just in the plain background. So I'm going to start off this week with a double bill, another Sion Sono double bill, which I'm going to cover Love and Peace and Land of Hope. Now these are two films that have been released by Third Window. They're both terrific, they're both very strange and very odd films. These are not films made by someone who's trying to be viewed as a conventional filmmaker. I mean, Land of Hope is more traditional, but even that's got a lot of stuff in there that doesn't travel well, put it that way, to other countries. There's an eccentricity to people that makes it a hard sell, really. I mean, a lot of films that come over here tend to be either really extreme or conventional stories that people in the worldwide basically can get behind, like very human stories. Now, Land of Hope is a human story, but it is eccentric. Love and Peace also has a human story, but it's really eccentric. I'm going to start with Love and Peace, actually. It's a wonderful film, but it's one of those films that's going to take a while to get into because it is just so odd. I mean, it starts off with this young man who is sleeping in his apartment where, if it's basically a one-room apartment, he's just got everything stuck in this one room. He's a daydreamer, he's a fantasist. He used to be a musician who played 3 gigs, then gave up because no one came to his gigs. And he's now become a clerk in this company, and he's at the lowest of low. He's very nervous, everyone can take the mick out of him. He's just been utterly destroyed by life. And he's an arch fantasist. He loves what's going on in his head, and it feels much more like reality than anything's happening in his real life. He's in love with this woman who's another office worker who's also shy and has problem communicating. So you think it's going to go in a sentimental direction of they fall in love and even though there's some troubles and everything will turn out fine. It goes a lot darker, a lot weirder than that. Basically, the first thing happens is this guy gets a pet turtle, this very small turtle that he's just in love with this turtle because he loves a turtle, and the turtle he carries around everywhere with him, and the turtle sees him in his home where he's a fantasist, where he builds all these things and builds all these plans and these to become a pop star within the year, and he's got this idea of becoming a pop star, even though realistically it's not going to happen. He's not doing anything, he's just going to a job he hates, and he's having fantasies that are creeping into his real life, and he's got a persecution complex, everyone's laughing at him, and because he does that, everyone is laughing at him. And he's got these fantasies about newscasters calling him out for being lazy and useless. You know, he's that much of an egotist, he thinks that way. He really is a shell of a person with a few human traits, but it's mainly fantasy life. That's all he has. He's rejected the real world completely, and there's so much he's so much in his fantasy that he cannot communicate with anybody. He cannot find ways to communicate with anybody because he's so much into what's in his head. He can't really see the worth of people. He just sees them as objects and things that will berate him, you know. And when he sees his boss, he's getting ready to berate him before the boss even berates, and the boss even brings that up. It's like, I haven't berated you yet, come on, what are you doing? So he's a very annoying character, and the film starts off with a very annoying character who doesn't get less annoying during the film, he gets more annoying. At a certain point, he starts including his pet turtle in his fantasy life. This will be very uncomfortable for a lot of people watching this who have too much of an active fantasy life rather than a real life. I think it's something that happens a lot in Japan. It's something that happens a lot in the West, where people are just stuck in their fantasy about what their life could be if it just would be, and they live in that fantasy of what life could be rather than the real life always. I mean, if they've got an imagination, it's easy to jump into the imagination. It's very difficult to take their imagination and make it something that's physical with it. It's something that's they can't really tough it out to actually make something that's real, so it becomes a fantasy where everything's easy, where everything goes their way. You know, and he's fallen into that trap and he's become less of a person because of it. And the film really gets under the skin of a percentage of the population who are like this. Maybe not as extreme as this guy, but there's an element of them, like housewives to business people who live the fantasy world. So it's not just the geeks who do it, it's everyone doing it to a degree, but he does it to the extreme. So when he is called out for his turtle, taking his turtle to work one day, he loses it and he ends up flushing the turtle down the drain, down the toilet, and he feels instantly guilty about it. He feels just horrible. The turtle ends up floating through the sewers to this area where it's this guy lives in the sewers with all these toys that have come back to life and have been given the ability to talk by this guy, so it's a very magical world. But they're still stuck in the sewers and they're still waiting there, and the guy keeps on telling them, don't worry, soon your dreams will come true. You know, soon you'll get what you need. So you have a dog, abandoned dogs, abandoned toys, all of this stuff, they're all there. And as you go through the film, they're getting frustrated as well because they think he's lying, they think he's just telling them what they want to hear. But they're seeing photographs of other toys that have been here in the past, that they're no longer there, and they're wondering what's going on. So you got all these like crudely animated dolls and bears and things like that are toy bears, and they're talking, you're seeing who they are, and some of them are very bitter and some of them are still idealistic, and they interact the way people would interact. Well, the people you see in the real world interact like facade. You're basically getting one-note characters in the real world by the humans. The characters who have more emotion are these dolls. And the story goes on where basically this character who flushed the thing down the toilet feels so bad. He ends up getting bullied by these musicians who are playing in the streets and doing these gigs on the on like squares, like Japanese squares, where they're playing a few gigs, but they're still kind of roughing it out. And because the lead character overreacts when he sees one of them has a guitar with a turtle on it, they make him sing in front of everybody just as revenge, because they think that's going to embarrass him. Unfortunately for them, he actually can sing because he was a musician who gave up too quick, and he has a song in his head coming from the grief of losing his turtle that everyone sees, and people suddenly want to sign him up as a singer. I mean, obviously ridiculous, but it actually works really well because it's a fantasy world, it's not a realistic world, and it's set up as a fantasy world. It doesn't care about reality. Which is wonderful about Asian films, is a lot of the time it's like, this is an artifact, this is not real. We all know it's not real, we're just going to go with it. In a way that American films, and even European films, sometimes are a bit embarrassed to do that Asian films aren't. Which is why I really like Asian films, because they actually just go for it a lot of the time and just go with fake effects and say, look, just use imagination, you know. So, they don't care about seeming unsophisticated. So this guy starts to become a pop singer, and you start to see him sort of lose... He loses the facade of this guy who's scared all the time, but he's still scared, but he becomes this more superficial guy who everyone loves because his voice is very emotional as he sings. And in his song was called Love and was a bit of talk was called Love and Peace, or they changed it to the words to Love and Peace, and it becomes this anthem for the dispossessed. So it kind of shows how easy it is to bring people into this world of images and symbols and easy answers. And as he becomes bigger, his turtle starts to grow because his turtle was given a magic thing to be able to talk, but also he was given the wrong thing, so the magic actually helps him make dreams come true. So because the turtle loved its owner, he makes the dreams of this guy come true. But obviously the guy's dreams are superficial. He wants fame. And of course he rejects the girl he fancied when he was a weakling. Obviously because he wants the girls who are fancy and stuff. So it shows how superficial he actually is. How, yeah, even though he was a geek, he wasn't always that nice. There was a lot of stuff in there that he's pretending to build up this fantasy. They didn't see people as people, they just saw them as objects that he had to impress or deal with. He wasn't seeing them with kindness. He could deal with inanimate objects with kindness, with his dreams with kindness, to animals with kindness, but he couldn't actually deal with human beings as human beings. So his whole world's a fantasy world. It becomes more and more fantastical as it gets bigger and bigger. And the turtle, because the turtle can make dreams come true, keeps on providing songs for him to be able to sing and to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm not going to say how it all comes together. That's basically the first half of the movie. You know, it gets weirder as you see more about the dolls. You find out more about the guy who is bringing the dolls back to life and what his deal is. And you find out more and more about how pathetic and lonely this lead character is, and how facile he actually is, and how he needs to actually get to grips with reality. Like, his new existence, his dream existence, his dreams coming true is not the saviour of him. It's actually making it worse for him, because he knows he's a fake and he knows it's very difficult and he can't interact with humans at all on their level. So it becomes like, how do you get out of these cul-de-sacs that you're stuck in? But it's a wonderful magic realism. I mean, the payoff to the doll story is amazing. I mean, it's like, I didn't see it coming, but it really was wonderfully done. And even if you do figure it out, the way it's done is so kind and so generous that it just works. It's just a wonderful set of images. I mean, the last half hour of this film is wonderful. I mean, before that it's really terrific, but it could alienate you, you know. But the last half hour is just so beautiful. And the film itself is just so well made. It's got like it's got basically dolls talking. It's got like giant turtles suddenly crawling through the cities. It's got everything you want in a film, because it just goes for it. It goes for the fantasy, but it actually has the emotions of, you know, the reality of the emotions are taken seriously, but it doesn't mind going into the fantasy world to actually get across what it's trying to get across. It's just a beautiful film. It's just wonderful. Again, I don't want to spoil a lot of the stuff happens in the second half, but there's just wonderful revelations of character more than... It's not about plot, it's about how people react and how they interact and the mood of the film and the way Sono brings it all together. It is just a wonderful, beautiful film, and it's just stunning. So, go see it, is my advice. Just see it. This is such a great film. Now we have Land of Hope, which is a very different film from Love and Peace. Love and Peace is fantasy. It takes fantasy as the emotional base and how fantasy affects you. Like, for good and ill, really. That's the kind of theme of it. In this, Love and Peace is how... No, Love and Peace. Land of Hope is how reality affects you. But it's done in a fantastical way at some points. You know, it actually takes the... It goes to the next step of characters going into mania to get the emotional point. But it is a more realistic film. It is a realistic base. But it doesn't mind having absurdity to make points. So basically what happens is, we start off in this farm, this urban farm where this family keep cows and milk them, and that's how they make their living. They're not rich, but they're doing okay. So it's a father and his wife who's got dementia, his son who stays with them with his wife, and they work the farm basically. And everything's getting on fine. They're a happy family. The son is a bit dependent on the family, but that's just his thing. You know, he's very closely tied to them. Plus, because the mother got dementia, it makes it hard for him to move away, really. So he's like, he's looking out for his family, and he's very emotionally tied to them, and they're very emotionally tied to the daughter-in-law as well. They're a very tight family. They've also got neighbours who, the families aren't as tight. The son has got a girlfriend too, and his son's slacking off and not working the farm as much. But the son's kind of trying to work himself out. He's not quite sure whether he's wants to do that or not. It's that kind of feeling of he still hasn't worked where he is in life. Like, because the son of the first family had a bit of rebellious streak but stuck with the family, this guy's still working it out. So into this situation comes a nuclear explosion in a power plant that's local, and basically there's a part of the town has been cut off and people taken away. Half the town is gone, like the shops and everything. People were there are taken out of the town. They can't go back to their homes, but people at a certain distance are allowed to stay because they say that that bit is safe, even though everyone's thinking, how can that be the case? Why don't you just abandon the whole town? You know, that's the absurdity they're setting up, and the absurdity is that what we call safe might not be. It's just something that authorities say so they can do something, so they can get some action within a situation that is untenable. And the terrible situation here is nuclear disasters or nature disasters, because recently there's also been a tsunami nearby that's also wrecked another town where people can't go to. So you've got the nature on one hand and your man-made disaster on the other hand, and both of them cause problems. So for the family that move away, that lived in the wrong side of the line, they've been told to abandon the place. They're dealing with the tsunami because the girl who dated their son, her family was in the tsunami area and she wants to go back and try and find her family. So you have two different types of disasters and two different set of characters falling up, and you see how it affects them. So for one set of characters, who are the characters dealing with the tsunami, they get split up as they go, because they go to this area where they have to wait, where they're fed and they can sleep. And they're in this basically in a big building, and no one knows how to move on from that. Everyone's just sort of stuck there. The son can't stand it, and he and his girlfriend move away quickly and go to the tsunami area, and they find the tsunami where the disaster took place, and you see some amazing abandoned landscapes that are beautiful but terrifying at the same time, because this is what a tsunami does to a location. So obviously shot in a location that had been damaged, and you just see them wandering through it, and it's a beautiful dark haunting sequence, and they find these children who are looking for these Beatles records, and then the children disappear. It's almost like stuff were ghosts. And in that section of the film is about these characters. They leave the area, then they want to go back because this girl has to say goodbye to her family, to her old life, before she can move on to her new life with the young man. And the young man, more or less, is to say to his parents, look, I've got to move on, I cannot stay here. And because his parents are stuck in this relocation area, and they're just trapped, they just don't know where to go, and they're going to go, eventually they're going to move somewhere else, away from the area. And basically the whole plan has been abandoned, and they're basically trapped within a system where they're going to have to find a compromise way to live. But they know where they are, it isn't a good place. So that's the one story, but them trying to find a way. And eventually the story works itself out as a young man moves on with his girlfriend, asks her to marry him. So they become another couple basically, and the life moves on from an old couple brings up a new couple as a replacement, but the new couple have their own problems, but they're going to move on and they're fine together. They're a nice family unit. The other couple, the other family dealing with the nuclear fallout, has it a bit tougher because they were told, oh, your area is safe, even though no one believed the area was safe. But the father told the son to move away, like, this is just government crap, move away, this is not safe, you cannot stay here, this is not a good place to be. And his son accepts that, he moves away. His son doesn't want to do it because he's so tied to his family, his mum's got dementia. And his father's getting older as well, and it's like, how do they keep moving on when they're, you know. But he accepts and they move to a town close by. That doesn't really help the situation. You know, because the wife is getting more and more paranoid because the wife's reading up in nuclear energy, and she's seen that even being this close to that meltdown, you're not safe. There's no way you're safe. So she starts to get up and, all this like anti-radiation suits, walking around the city with masks on, and then a radiation suit, and she's getting mocked. Her husband's getting mocked. And he's trying to deal with that, talk to his family. Meanwhile, they're trying to move the family out of the area now because they realise none of the town was safe and they should have done that in the first place, and this family will not move. This old couple will not move, and it's about the old couple realising they either have to move and let go or they're going to die here. And what choice will they make? And how do they help their son move on and tell him, son, get away from here, like get away completely from here. Like, it's not a good place, you have to move on somewhere else. It's a metaphor for him to move on away from them and start a life of his own. His wife is pregnant and he's dealing with it badly because she's dealing with it badly, and it's like he's asking the doctor, well, what do you do with nuclear radiation? Is there anywhere safe? And the doctor's saying, no, there's not, because everywhere has some background radiation somewhere. It's just certain areas are worse than others. This is the world we live in. You just have to make it manageable for yourself. So the son realises he has to do a facade move, which is he has to move away to make his wife feel happier. Which actually works. Just getting away from that area, I think it helps her kick out of the trap she's made for herself psychologically. But by this point, he's kind of haunted by, he starts to see radiation things, so he's got the same problem now, because he started off not thinking too much about radiation. By the end of it, he really is feeling paranoid as well. Meanwhile, this father will not move out, his father and mother will not move out, his mother getting more and more demented, and eventually there's a suicide, really, and it's a beautiful sequence. It's a wonderful film. It's not plot though, I mean, pretty much from minute 2 that this old couple are going to die there. You just know it. It's kind of like Dead Ringers when you first see the twins. You know it's going to be tragic. And this one, you know this is going to be tragic. It's set up, it's going to go bad for these two. You know it's going to go bad. There's no way they're going to survive this film. So I don't feel I'm doing spoilers here. You just know instantly, the way it's been set up, they ain't surviving this film. It's about how they don't survive, and it's the reason they have for wanting to stay, because other families who are around the safe zone move out ultimately because they don't want to die. And this family, once they've been ordered to move out and been ordered to kill their livestock, it's like life's not really worth living. They feel that the whole family past is tied up in this area, and to leave would just leave the past floating and be worthless the way the other family has. And they just don't want to do it. It's just like, no, we don't want to do this. This is not what we want out of our lives. So death is better than, that compromise. And there's wonderful sequences of them walking through the town that's been abandoned, and it's just Fallout City, and they're still, and the woman seems so happy because she's dementia, she doesn't realise what's going on. It becomes this moving story of these two old people finding a connection within the past. And it's a wonderfully moving sequence. This is a very difficult film to watch during the lockdown though, because even though it's dealing with radioactive fallout, the idea of being trapped and something you can't control, and you're not quite sure the government's lying to you or not, it hits home and it makes you feel really paranoid. So it's a perfect film for this time period, but it's also a terrible film for this time period to watch. But I'd highly recommend watching it anyway. It's worth enduring the pain of if you're in lockdown to watch this and feel the sense of desperation through these characters. So you get a whole variation of life as people who can either move on or don't move on, and the reasons for different people doing different things. It's just a beautiful film. It's a very simple film. I think the thing with Sono is he does films that are basically short stories. Like, every film I've seen of his could be a short story. And he expands them out to like 70 minutes or 2 hours or 4 hours, whatever they need. And he expands them through characters and through the dialogue, through atmosphere, to create a film. But he's really telling short story ideas within film. Which means he doesn't have to expand with a lot of plot. He can do the mood, and he can do the character, the deal with characters. And he can have like side characters who would be a layer to in a story, get scenes that expand and develop and give you a sense of a world that's lived in. It's just wonderful. It's just a wonderful film. I'd highly recommend seeing it. You can get it fairly cheaply on Arrow during their sales. It's through Third Window. They're a great distributor. I'd say try and support them if you can. They do some great work and some great titles. I'm going through a lot of their back. I've been buying their titles and I'm going through a lot of my backlog of their titles during the lockdown, because there's so much good stuff that I've always said I'll get to eventually. Now it's the time to get to them. So I hope you enjoyed the video. See these films. I'm going to be following more Sono films, so this is not the end of the Sono series. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll be back soon with some more videos. Right, bye for now.